Once a foreigner, always a foreigner. Listen, let me tell you something. I, as an immigrant, have had to give in 100. What am I saying 100? I've had to give in my life just to be seen without any external support whatsoever. But let me not even get started on the kind of jobs that I did upon arrival. No matter how naturalized you might be in Germany, you would always be referred to as the Nigerian German. 5 years ago, I packed my entire life in 3 suitcases and left what I had grown to know as home for 24 years and moved over to a new country. Was it scary? Hell yes. Was it worth it? Would I do it again? Let's find out. So just in case you see my face for the first time, hi, my name is Kelechi and I've been living in Germany for the past 5 years. So this is basically going to be a story time about how I came to Germany, how long I've been here, what I've been up to, as well as, the good, the bad, and the ugly. My 5-year experience, basically, okay? So relax, it's gonna be a chill video, nothing too serious. Let's just gist. So to begin this video, we're gonna be doing a little bit of a throwback, okay? So first things first, like many of you must have assumed or might know, I did my bachelor's degree in Nigeria, okay? Like, I grew up in Nigeria, I did my bachelor's degree there. And while I was even in year 1, I knew for a fact that I was going to leave Nigeria. I remember back then, when I just got admission, I remember telling my mom, that was before my matriculation, I told her that I was going to, I wanted to travel outside Nigeria for my master's degree. And she was like, Bianwa, you barely just got your admission to do your bachelor's and you're talking of traveling. Maybe come and finish this one before you talk about what will happen in years to come. So she shrugged it off at the time, like, what is this child saying? But then I knew in my spirit that Nigeria is not really what I want for myself. Like, I wouldn't want to be here beyond, as in when I'm done with my bachelor's degree, right? And the years went by and everything. And so I remember clearly sometime in my final year when there was that crazy ASU strike, that one that lasted for about 6 months. I think either 4 to 6 months, I can't remember, but it was a very long one. So I remember chatting with a friend who was in Germany at the time, and then we're just discussing like life plans and everything, like, oh, what's your plan, what's up with now that ASU is on strike, what do you want to do with yourself, and all that. And I remember him asking me, so after studies, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to do my master's. So I was like, oh really, where do you want to do that? See me in my mouth. Then I was busy blabbing, I want to go to Canada, or I want to do it in the US. I was never really a fan of the UK. I was like, I want to do it in Canada or the US. And I knew it in my heart then that the US and like studying in the US or studying in Canada is not a child's play. It's very expensive. I didn't even know how I was going to go about it, like having to convince my parents, because I come from a family of 6 kids, all right? I'm just the first to finish. You still have like 5 siblings to be taken care of, and you're talking of going to Canada or going to, hello. It was very, very, very of English. Like, it wasn't possible at the time. Like, I wouldn't have imagined that to happen, right? So my friend was like, yeah, it's really expensive to study in these places. Have you considered Germany? And before this idea even came up, before we even came about this idea, I know someone who had done her IT in Germany. So I was like, wait, I think I even went to write her after we had this conversation. Okay, I'm jumping, I'll get there later. So he was like, have you considered studying in Germany? I'm like, Germany? Last I checked, the official language in Germany is German. How am I supposed to study in Germany? He was like, there are English courses in Germany. I am studying in English language. You can do that too. I'm like, okay, but then how are you able to navigate your day-to-day life in the country, having to learn the language? I beg, I'm too old to learn the German language. And he was like, who says that? There are lots of people here who have learned this language as immigrants. So you are not going to be the first, neither would you be the last. You can do this. If we could do this, you can do this. We don't have more than one head, so you too can do this. That was pretty much encouraging at the time. So then I started my research. And just like I mentioned, there was this lady that I know who did her IT in Germany. I can't remember how she did it, but then all these engineering students and all, I don't know how she was able to get the connection to come over to Germany. And she did her 6 months internship in her 400 level, and she came back to Nigeria. So I reached out to her asking her, what's up, how are you able to do it and all that, how are you able to manage? And she just told me that Germany is cool generally, but she doesn't know if she wants to do her studies here long term and everything, since she had been here for about 6 months. I'm like, okay, let me figure things out for myself then. And of course, I started doing my research, started checking stuff online, doing major, Google stuff, right? Because back then there was not so much content creators like we have today in Germany. Like so much, there weren't a lot of immigrant content creators then who were showing you what life was like in Germany. Okay, so it was just based off what people's experiences, like what they told you or what you saw on Google or Reddit or even Nairaland or Naira Forum at the time. So yeah, this was basically how I got my information. And then, so fast forward to after the strike, the ASU strike, we went back to school, we completed our studies. On the day that I wrote my last exam, my last paper, my final paper, I got the call again from this friend of mine. I was it a text message. It was kind of like a nod anyway, like, okay, so have you given what I told you a thought, coming to Germany and all that? And I was like, hold on, no, did someone send you? Like, how did you know that I just finished writing my last exam today? But anyway, yes, I have agreed to, give it a thought, come to Germany and everything. But before then, I spoke to my parents about it. I mean, I needed their consent. I was still like really young at the time, barely 22, 23 at the time. So I told them about the plan, and you know how it is, like parents releasing their young child at such an age into the world like that. You know how it is, like African parents. It's not really something that a lot of parents would do. I mean, back then, but right now it's a thing, like Japa and everything. But back then it wasn't something that was very easy. But they saw reasons with me when I explained to them. I told them, hey, look, Nigeria, we don't know in which direction it's going to turn. Things are going to turn in the next couple of years. And back then, to be honest, Nigeria wasn't even as bad as it is today. Things were pretty fair at the time. They were still not, things were not bad, to be honest. Like, it was a time where Japa wasn't even considered so much. Like, many people, I remember then some people, family and friends, were even telling me like, Nigeria would be great. I mean, why are you people traveling out? Stay here and develop the country. Stay here and do this and do that and do that. And those people who said those things at the time, who believed in the situation of the country at the time, they are no longer in the country. Their children are no longer in the country. Okay, so that's how good or how fair Nigeria was back then. But I kind of like saw into the future. I don't know, somehow. And my parents, thankfully, they bought my idea and they supported me. So I told this my friend, okay, I've given it a thought and let's try it out. And I started making applications upon applications, and eventually I found myself in Germany. Yeah, so that was like what influenced my decision to move to Germany. Okay, and it's been 5 hot minutes. Yeah, like where did the time go, really? I remember when I'm talking to some of my friends, they're like, this country, the thief person age you. Like, I was 24 when I came, and look at me, like a lot has changed, really. So in this video, basically, I want to share some of the things that I'm grateful for since I have moved here, and things that I'm not so happy about since I moved here. Okay, so we're going to be starting with the good, of course. So the first thing that I'm really grateful for since moving to Germany is being able to acquire a master's degree, because that was like the major reason why I came to Germany, right? So being able to have acquired a master's degree in Germany, paying little or nothing really in comparison to what I would have probably paid in the UK, the US or Canada, like, and to think that my degree can compete with people who have studied in these other countries that I just mentioned. Okay, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity. Speaking of which as well, I'm also grateful that I've been able to, conveniently switch to another field, because for my bachelor's I studied agricultural economics, and I'm grateful that I was able to switch to marketing. And yeah, I've been able to like launch my career in international marketing and sales ever since I completed my master program, because I don't know what I would have been doing myself if I was stuck with agricultural economics in a country like this. That would have been it's not a viable course to do. I mean, if I had to do a master's degree in that, I don't know where I would have seen myself. Probably would have been in the academic field, which I don't want to, right? So yeah, I'm grateful for the fact that I was able to do the switch easily. That was majorly because of my transcript anyway. Like, the courses that I did in my economics classes are like they helped towards enabling me get an admission into marketing. I hope that makes sense. The second thing that I'm super grateful for is the fact that I'm able to, okay, before now I was dual, how do you say that, I was zweisprachig. I can't remember how you say it in English, but I know how to speak two languages, of course, English language and my mother language, my mother tongue, my native language, which is Igbo. But moving to Germany, I've been able to add a third one to it, and that makes me multisprachig, multilingual. I'm so happy about that. And it's an opportunity that I do not take for granted. I'm really happy. And if I had a chance, an opportunity, I would really love to get better in the German language as much as I can. The third thing I'm super grateful for is the ability to really integrate myself into the system, because I know that for some people 5 years may be too little time for them to do some integration. For some, 5 years is a lot of time, but for me 5 years is adequate time for me to integrate myself into any system. And I'm super happy that I have been able to do that, not just by learning the language anyway, but also doing things like getting my driver's license, because that is a big deal, guys. I know people who have been in Germany for a very long time and they're either too scared to go to do it, or it's very expensive. It's actually, guys, it's super expensive. Okay, I have a video about this topic exactly on my channel about how I went about getting my German driving license. It's a big deal. Okay, so I'm really grateful that I was able to do this, because back in Nigeria I was just winging it. Yes, I could drive a car, but I didn't exactly have a license. But coming here, I knew that wasn't going to work, and I'm glad that I was able to get that out of the way. So it's a win that I'm happy that I've been able to achieve in 5 years. Something else I'm grateful for as well as an immigrant in Germany is the ability for me to explore Europe with just my Schengen visa. Like, as a student, you are given your residency permit, which is also like a Schengen visa for you, so you can travel around the Schengen countries. That is like something that I'm super happy about. I think it was even one of the things that influenced my decision as well to move to Germany, because I was like, if one goes to the US now, you'll just be stuck within the US, except you want to except you have to get a visa to move out. And of course, with Brexit, going to the UK means the same thing, and same thing applies to Canada as well. So I was like, Germany is not a bad idea, because then I can hop from Spain to Italy to Albania to wherever I want without having to apply for visa, because applying for visa, it's not something I love to do, really. Like the uncertainty, it's not something I like. Something I'm also really grateful for is growth in a lot of areas of my life, socially, personally, academically, professionally. Okay, and this has especially harnessed something that I really didn't know I had in me. Okay, like coming to Germany, I started content creation like 2 years after arrival, right? And this is something I knew that I always had that thing in me, because growing up, we grew up creating content. If you knew me from way back, if you know my family, you know my mom, you know my siblings, then you know what I'm talking about. That's like a story for another day. So basically, coming to Germany harnessed that part of me that I didn't know existed for so long, and this was born out of my desire to show other immigrants what it was like from my own perspective to live in Germany, or show people who wanted to migrate to Germany how life in Germany is like from a Black girl's perspective, an African girl's perspective. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about some things that I've really that were really tough for me in this period of time since I moved to Germany. And the first thing is missing out on major activities at home, missing out on major events at home, missing out on being together with your family. Like, your parents are growing older, your siblings are getting older as well, and doing exploits, and you're not there. That hurts a lot. Like, this whole homesickness, it still comes once in a while. So that is something that I'm not so happy about. And to think that it's even getting worse when you consider the condition of things back in Nigeria at the moment. The economy is getting worse by the day, and members of families are forced to japa, like leave the country, migrate for a better life. And that means you would see in a family of maybe 5 or 6 children, 3 of them are no more in the country. They're probably in different parts of the world. The situation at home right now is really breaking a lot of families apart. So that's something that I'm not happy for. I'm not happy about ever since I have moved here. But like I always say, I'm super grateful for technology. Like, one is really able to reach out to family members back home. You can see their faces, you can hear their voices without actually being in the same space with them. So for that, I'm also grateful. But then, yeah, it really hurts that you are not in the moment with your family. So another thing that I really struggled with, like during the early years, is the fact that, growing up in Nigeria as a student, you were being taken care of by your parents while you studied, okay? But here, having to study and work, fend for yourself, was like a huge culture shock for me, because I was like, what is going on, okay? Like, you have to plan yourself very well in such a way that your studies do not affect your hustle, and your hustle does not affect your studies. You get the point? Like, one must not suffer, because your bills have to be paid and you must pass your exams before you get your visa extended. So I was like torn between the devil and the WC, but I really thank God because of the friends that I have here, like, who really like helped me in terms of showing me how things are done, basically, and they were like really an anchor for me. But yeah, having to navigate that part in the beginning, fending for yourself without any external support whatsoever, oh my God, that was very tough. And let me not even get started on the kind of jobs that I did upon arrival. I remember vividly back then, like, the first job that I took was as a cleaner. Guys, I worked as a cleaner for a couple of months before I eventually got some jobs in warehouses. And I remember then working night shifts. I was like, Jesus, who sent me on this errand? I can't forget, like, the first night shift I had, I was like, who sent me to come to Germany? I should have just been in Nigeria in peace. It's really traumatic to think about it. But yeah, that was like, that kind of job was what literally gave me my big break into internships. I remember one day when I was done with my shift, I was with my colleagues, we were waiting for like a train or a bus, I can't remember. And then the students were talking about, one of them, he was an engineering student at the time. And he was talking about how he was looking forward to getting a job as a VEC student, like a working student. And he had to he was like making efforts to apply every day so that he would get a job in that as a working student, right? I was like, are we not working students? Like, is there something different, something I don't know? Please educate me. And then he told me that as a working student, you are basically like a staff of the company, but then they are using you but paying you for less, you get. But the only thing is that you get to work for 20 hours a week, not more. But during your holidays, you can work more hours, okay? So you are just doing everyday task like a regular staff would do, but in this case, you are underpaid, okay? Usually working students earn somewhere between 1,000 euros to 1,700. It really depends on your scope of work and the kind of company that you're working with and how they are. And then I was like, this sounds like a really interesting opportunity. And then of course I started doing my research, and I even figured out that people in my field, like, my field was like a hot cake. It's a hot cake for internships, working student jobs. And I was like, wow, I did it since they do lager arbeit. Jesus Christ. And that was the big break for me. I started making applications, and that was during COVID. I started making 2020. So by the end of 2020, I started making like serious applications towards 2021, and thankfully I got my very first remote job, and the rest is history. That was literally what launched me into my corporate girly career in Germany. Still speaking of school here, something I really struggled with at the time was finding my feet. Even though I started the semester early with my mates, you know how it is here in Germany, they'll tell you, ensure that you come early, like ensure that when if your semester is to begin in October, find yourself here at least end of September, so that you are starting the new semester with your colleagues. Otherwise you would feel lost. Trust me, that is the case with so many people here. But then I was here early enough to even begin my program. And so when I even started, there was still that I was unsettled. And this is largely due to the fact that there's a huge gap in the education system of Germany and, Nigeria. Like, in Nigeria, you know the vibes. Those of you who studied in Nigeria, you know the vibes, you know how it is. Like, many people just wing studies back there. The lecturers literally spoon feed you. Like, you don't get to do things for yourself. You don't get to discover things for yourself, okay? But the reverse here is the case. I remember the very first few classes that I had, I was hearing things like, oh, you must have done this in your bachelor's, or you must have done that in your bachelor's. I was like, you guys, hold up, relax. Most of us are international students, okay? Like, it was crazy. And then when you go to ask your colleagues, they're giving you the vibe of, how did you graduate from your bachelor's program? I mean, at the time, I felt out of place, to be honest. I felt like, nah, I can't be here, I can't do this, okay? But thankfully, I took things like one day at a time. And I also listened to good counsel. My friend advised me, okay, you know what? Don't take every course at once, okay? Treat it like a buffet. Just take this and that and that. Maybe three courses that semester, so that you're able to assimilate stuff as much as you can. Because if you carry everything at once, you will break down. I tried it once and I saw the effect in my health. I tried it for one semester, and the rest of the semesters, and my body tell me I did it gradually, eventually, until I finished my program. And I'm really grateful for that in Germany. Like, you know, like other countries where you get to finish your program, if it's 2 years, you must finish in 2 years. If it's 1 year, 6 months, you must finish in 1 year, 6 months, or else you get to keep paying school fees. Even though here, like, I got to pay semester dues until I finished, but then it wasn't so much. And then for a bachelor's degree program, you have 5 years to finish. For a master's degree program, you have 5 years to finish, but for a bachelor's degree program, you have maximum of 10 years or 7 years to finish. So I dragged my studies for 3 years until I was done. And I'm so grateful that I was able to take it gradually. That way I was able to, you know, scale through successfully, to the glory of God. Another thing that I really struggled with, and I do know that a lot of immigrants as well can relate to this, is looking for a job as a foreigner here. Listen, let me tell you something. You as a foreigner, or rather your counterparts, your European or German counterparts can give in 10, 20, 30, but you as an immigrant, I as an immigrant have had to give in 100. What am I saying 100? I've had to give in my life, as a matter of fact, just to be seen, just to be recognized, okay? It is really what it is, okay? Because I can even relate it to being in Nigeria, for example. If you were hired by someone from another tribe, or you were doing something with other tribe, like people from other tribes as well, you would be seen as a minority, and their people would be given more more preference before you. And you will even see this back then when we had to look for admissions. For example, if you're looking for admissions to study in the Southwest, for example, they would first give preference to people who are from that region before they even look at you from the Southeast. That's normal. So I feel the same way here, and it's even heightened in this part of the world, okay? And that's something that I've grown to realize, that hey, this is your reality, this is normal. You just have to work 10 times more, or several times harder, several times more than your counterparts ever would, okay? It's our reality as foreigners in Germany. Once a foreigner, always a foreigner. No matter how naturalized you might be in Germany, like no matter how much of the red passport you have, if you commit a crime tomorrow and for some reason you have to be in the news, you would always be referred to as the Nigerian German. Like, they would never say the German. They would put your original country of origin as a prefix and then have the German behind, if you have the German passport. I don't know if you get my point. So yeah, basically, like, life in the abroad in Germany is really not easy, okay? It can be rough. It can really be rough at some points, but the solution here is just to have an anchor, to have a support system. And if you're lucky enough to find it a 1 person, 2 persons, a tribe, you don't know what God has done for you, literally. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I had such a thing when I came into Germany, and it's the reason why I am where I am today, largely the reason why I am where I am today, and I don't take that for granted. So now, to answer the very first question that I asked in the beginning of this video, was it worth it? Hell yes, it was worth it. These 5 years have really been a learning curve for me. I really love and appreciate the fact that I was able to make that huge step of leaving my comfort zone at such a tender age. I was 10 at the time. Come on, I'm a girl, okay? At such a young age in my life, I'm so happy that I was able to make that move, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity. So it was totally worth it. Would I do it again? Hell yes. If I had the chance, I would do it over and over and over again, but of course now with better experience, with 5 years of experience. This video is not even as comprehensive as I would have wanted it to be, but yeah, I didn't want it to be so long, and then I didn't want to have to offload my life's history for you people on YouTube. So I just wanted to like cherry pick what I felt was worth sharing here. So let me know as well, what are some things that you would highlight, you can highlight as your pros and cons of moving to a foreign place. If you're in Germany, I'd like to hear your story. If you're abroad, I'd like to hear your story as well. So yeah, let's keep the conversation flowing down in the comment section, okay? And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not yet subscribed, and do the Lord's work. Go on to share this video with your friends and let's keep the ministry moving, okay? All right, so be good and take care of yourselves till I see you next time. Bye.